the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be pod smacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hello, and welcome to the show. This is number 155, ladies and gentlemen, 155. You can find me on Facebook at Rob Carson Show. You can also find me on Twitter at Rob Carson. And I did just unleash or unleash, whatever you want to call it, a new Facebook page in Kansas City. It's called KC Small Business Live. And it features small business owners in Kansas City in my studio, 2 high-definition cameras, 2 microphones, broadcast quality audio. We broadcast live on Facebook, and then the owner of the business gets to keep the URL. Costs $300. It's a hell of a deal. All right? If you want information on that, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. You didn't win the Powerball, by the way. No, Powerball was won by some person in Massachusetts, I guess. We'll get to that in just a second. Dr. Alex Nelson is a chiropractor, and there are a lot of things that he can do for you. He can fix that low back pain. He can make your shoulder pain feel much better. Knee pain, hip pain, neuropathy. I got a little bit of that in my toes, to be quite honest. I'll tell you what, you will be amazed what chiropractic can do for you. Decompression for herniated low back discs. That's amazing. And pinched nerves. You ever had sciatica? Oh, the worst thing in the world. $30 for veterans and veterans family members for an adjustment. Just $30. FountainOfLifeChiro.com. FountainOfLifeChiro.com. 816-741-4711. 816-741-4711. Grass Monsters KC, also a client of mine, and I love their mowers. American made. Just badass mowers. They've got Hustlers that are made in Kansas. They're remarkable. There's the Raptor, 3-year, 300-hour warranty, goes up to a 60-inch cutting deck, 22 or a 25 horsepower engine. Goes about 7.5 miles an hour, too. Mows beautifully. Hustler mowers. Let's not forget Dixie chopper mowers, made in Indiana. Oh, they are wonderful. American made, and they just look fantastic. The Z2's their residential mower, and it'll last you a lifetime, I swear. GrassMonstersKC.com, 5520 Raytown Road, Raytown, Missouri, GrassMonstersKC.com. So, yeah, the lottery was won by someone, one single ticket, I guess, in Massachusetts. I bought 5 tickets, and, of course, I haven't even looked at the numbers. I just heard the news this morning, and, of course, you're not going to win. You're just not going to win. I play the lottery. I always say that, my chance of winning is the same as anyone else's. Oh, they announced the wrong name, by the way. They said it was a store in Watertown, Massachusetts. Apparently, it was not. It was in another town, Chicopee, at the Pride Station and Store, Chicopee, Mass. $758 million. $12 after taxes. Okay. So a lot of stuff to get to today, some political, some not so much. Workers in Charlottesville have draped giant black covers over 2 statues of Confederate generals yesterday, actually, to symbolize the city's mourning for a woman killed while protesting a white nationalist rally. That doesn't I don't think it makes any sense, to be quite honest. Emancipation Park is where it is. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they did it. Cherry pickers used ropes, poles to cover the statue. This is just so absurd. It's great. It's a good start, said Jamie Dyer, who spoke a short time later from nearby Justice Park, where workers covered a statue of General Thomas Stonewall Jackson. They do have to go, but it's a start. The guy showed up with a knife, started cutting the tarp, and the police asked him to stop, and he complied. And I don't know, guys. You know what? They ought to just bring in David Copperfield. And get David Copperfield in there. If you want to get rid of that stuff, just go in, and then he will distract the audience for a second, say a few words, a few jokes, and then tear the tarp off, and voila, it's gone. It's gone. Okay. One of the dumbest things I've heard, I'll just call these guys the doofus of the day. This could be doofus of the year. ESPN, did you hear about this? They decided to replace a play-by-play announcer announcing I guess it's a Virginia game, because his name is Robert Lee. Robert Lee. Now, Robert Lee is an Asian man, and he has complied, and it provided a great deal of fodder for people all across the broadcast industry, even MSNBC, folks.
In the aftermath of the violence in Charlottesville a couple of weeks ago, ESPN executives have decided that play-by-play announcer Robert Lee, seen there on the right, will not be in the broadcast booth for next Saturday's college football season opener in Charlottesville between the University of Virginia and the College of William and Mary because of the similarity between his name and the famed Confederate icon, General Robert E. Lee.
Would they replace Andrew Jackson? You got to imagine a lot of people have these names. There's got to be an Alexander Hamilton out there.
I kid you not. In a statement last night, ESPN said, quote, "We collectively made the decision with Robert to switch games as the tragic events in Charlottesville were unfolding simply because of the coincidence of his name."
I have no words. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
At that moment, it felt right to all parties. It's a shame that this is even a topic of conversation, and we regret that who calls play-by-play for a football game has become an issue, end quote.
You made it the issue!
Steve Kornacki, the irony here is it wasn't an issue for anyone.
Thank you.
Until the statement went out, until that decision was made.
Yeah, and I'm trying to even imagine the scenario where it's kickoff time in Charlottesville, and there's Robert Lee, looks like about a 30-year-old sportscaster who clearly wasn't alive during the Civil War, is in the booth, and anybody has any objection to that. There was this tweet last night. There's actually an anchor also at the ESPN named Bob Lee.
Yeah,
he spells it L-E-Y. He's been there for a long time. He tweeted last night when this broke. He said, "Rather worried my employee ID pass may not admit me in the AM. Life as scripted by The Onion."
Wow.
I read this story last night, Gene, and we often say not The Onion as a joke for an absurd story. I actually thought it was an Onion story because it went so far. I guess this is the logic.
It does. It sounds like you really would have to be a very good comedy writer to come up with this one. This is, this you can't make this stuff up.
The outcome of the culture we've created.
Actually, it's not logical at all.
Well,
it's
not
crazy.
Logical. Maybe it's just the outcome.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This is why Donald Trump has that 33%, right? Because look, I think that even the sort of mask-wearing Antifa anarchists are going to realize that that's not the guy in the statue, and are going to cut him some slack. Either they're not going to be watching football or they're not going to care. So I just think this is really dumb.
I think it's really dumb. Yeah, there are a lot of Asian Americans named Lee. Kids. New memo yesterday disputes the central premise of the story with another explanation of what happened. Brian Stelter of CNN obtained an internal memo from ESPN President John Skipper explaining why they moved Robert Lee from one game to another. Quote, "Given the amount of media attention generated by one of the countless routine decisions on our local production teams make every day, I wanted to make sure you have the facts. There was never any concern by anyone at any level that Robert Lee's name would offend anyone watching the Charlottesville game. Among the Charlotte production staff, there was a question as to whether, in these divisive times, Robert's assignment might create a distraction or, even worse, expose him to social hectoring and trolling. Since Robert was the primary concern, they consulted him directly. He expressed some personal trepidation about the assignment, and when offered the chance to do the Youngstown Pitt game instead, opted for that game, in part because he lives in Albany and be able to get home to his family Saturday evening. And then they went on to chastise everyone for laughing at them. Said, "I'm disappointed that the good intentions of our Charlotte colleagues have been intentionally hijacked by someone with a personal agenda," he concluded, "and sincerely appreciate Robert's personal input and professionalism throughout this episode." Yeah, it's an episode. Yeah, it's definitely an episode. Here is what Howie Kurtz had to say about it.
Brett, it almost seems like a parody. This was not just political correctness by ESPN. It's political idiocy and journalistic malpractice to boot. And I'm surprised the network is now defending this ridiculous overreaction. I mean, even if you'd played football for years without a helmet, would anybody, when they see this guy, Robert Lee, think that he was in any way a descendant of the late Civil War general? I mean,
I don't even think anybody would have noticed. I don't think anybody would have noticed.
It is such an overreaction, oversensitivity by a network whose own ombudsman has said has moved too much into politics on the liberal side. I really can't believe that ESPN, one, did this, benching this guy, nothing to do with the problems in Charlottesville to call the University of Virginia game, and two, is now defending it.
Yeah, now they're defending the action. We're going nuts, right? I mean, the country is going nuts. We are collectively insane. You've got the mayor of New York is going to look at all the statues in New York, and they're going to go one by one down the list of which ones are considered to be offensive. Bill de Blasio orders review of all New York monuments, considering removal of Christopher Columbus, by the way. So there's a proposal to remove the Christopher Columbus statue. A review of all city statues and monuments. His consideration follows a rally held by City Council Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito and other elected Democrats. By the way, most of these statues are Democrats. I don't know what Columbus was. Calling for the removal of the 19th century Dr. J. Marion Sims from Central Park. Sims is known to have experimented on African slaves. The father of modern gynecology, but he operated on people that weren't volunteering for it. So they're looking at it. The Columbus statue is obviously one that will get immediate attention because there's been tremendous concern about it. Ben Sarl, mayoral spokesman, really has there. When the guidance criteria for review are set by the commission, we will make sure they are available to the public. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. We've gone nuts. Hillary Clinton's new book is coming out. It's called What Happened. I love the title of it. It should be What the Hell Happened. I think that would be even better. But she's got the audiobook out, and Morning Joe got some of the and I don't know how you could listen to her read this book, but it's the audiobook featuring her reading, and her voice is, you know. Here's a little, I've got 3 excerpts from her book where she talks about how creeped out she was by Donald Trump. Here we go.
I don't have all the answers, and this isn't a comprehensive account of the 2016 race. That's not for me to write. I have too little distance and too great a stake in it. Instead, this is my story. I want to pull back the curtain on an experience that was exhilarating, joyful, humbling, infuriating.
Humbling, really?
And just baffling. Writing this wasn't easy. Every day that I was a candidate for president, I knew that millions of people were counting on me, and I couldn't bear the idea of letting them down. But I did. Yes,
you did, because you were a very bad candidate. Here she is talking about, I think that's supposed to be a joke.
I couldn't get the job done, and I'll have to live with that for the rest of my life.
Yes.
In this book, I write about moments from the campaign that I wish I could go back and do over. If the Russians could hack my subconscious, they'd find a long list.
Oh, yeah, if the Russians could, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing to the Russia story. Here she is talking about Donald Trump during the debate.
This is not okay, I thought. It was the second presidential debate, and Donald Trump was looming behind me. 2 days before, the world heard him brag about groping women. Now we were on a small...
What do you do when your husband sneaks up behind you? I mean, I'd be really creeped out if Bill Clinton was behind me as a woman.
...stage, and no matter where I walked, he followed me closely, staring at me, making faces. It was incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh.
He was literally breathing down my neck.
No, he wasn't. He was about 4 or 5 feet behind you.
My skin crawled.
Sure it did.
It was one of those moments where you wish you could hit pause and ask everyone watching, well, what would you do? Do you stay calm, keep smiling, and carry on as if he weren't repeatedly invading your space?
This is just, this is an adult woman here. All right, this is a big girl, all right? And she's saying that she was so bothered by Donald Trump on stage. Give me a break. This is merely capitalizing on some sort of a narrative about Donald Trump. And she realizes by being so critical of Donald Trump, MSNBC is the #1 network now. This is all about selling books, folks.
Or do you turn, look him in the eye, and say loudly and clearly, back up, you... Get away from me.
Do what?
I know you love to intimidate women, but you can't intimidate me.
Sure.
So back up. I chose option A.
Yes.
I kept my cool, aided by a lifetime of dealing with difficult men trying to throw me off. I did have...
Oh, there we go. Now, there's her narrative. Blaming everything on men in her life. All of her woes on men.
However, gripped the microphone extra hard.
Yeah, I'll bet you did.
I wonder, though, whether I should have chosen option B. It certainly would have been better TV. Maybe I have overlearned the lesson of staying calm, biting my tongue, digging my fingernails into a clenched fist, smiling all the while, determined to present a composed face.
Unbelievable. She's a victim. It's remarkable. It really is just remarkable. Her life has been very privileged. And now she's blaming everything on men and Donald Trump. Oh. Here's kind of a cool story. Summit, New Jersey. Parents are signing a pledge to wait until 8th grade to give their kids smartphones. It's called Wait Until 8. I think it's a good idea. My daughter has got it's a smartphone, but she doesn't use it. It's a smaller one. It's an older one. But she, like I said, she doesn't use it. I don't really want her on social media. I think it leaves a lot of leeway for bullying, things like that. And so she's not interested in it. She doesn't make phone calls. She doesn't play on the phone. That, I'm sure, is going to change very soon. Well, my son, on the other hand, is constantly on the phone. It is kind of strange if you just drop people on the planet, just, people from 15 years ago, and walk through an airport, you would not believe what you see. You would not believe what you see in public places. My wife and I went on a walk the other night on a local trail. There's a family of 4, all 4 of them walking, looking at their smartphones. I mean, what's the point? Here's a story from CBS in New York.
Other families in New Jersey and nationwide are signing up for the Wait Until 8th pledge.
This pledge will help you.
In some neighborhoods, that's wait to lose your virginity until 8th grade.
Unify parents because it will be easier for them to stick to their guns.
The pledge is designed to flip the script on peer pressure. The idea is to get 10 other families in your area to sign up so your child is not the only one without a smartphone under the age of 13.
Mm-hmm. With the smartphone comes social media and access to viewing things that kids may not need to see.
Some of the parents I spoke to here in Summit say, sure, it's a great idea, but it may be unrealistic.
We were trying to hold off as long as possible, but unfortunately, I think socially, that's how the kids communicate.
Danielle Rising recognizes the advantages and the disadvantages.
In a town like this, when they come to the downtown, it's useful because there are no payphones left for the kids to call.
Well, just give them a dumb phone.
Say that I'm here, I'm there.
Yeah. Some people we spoke with say kids are too wrapped up in the technology and need to socialize without the devices.
I agree.
Parents are still encouraged to sign the pledge even if their child has a basic flip phone, as long as it's limited to only calls or texts. In Summit, New Jersey, Meg...
Okay. It's nuts. And I use my smartphone all the time. I use it for texting mostly. I rarely surf the internet on my phone. I never watch media. When I go to bed at night, I'll watch some YouTube videos before I go to bed. And there's some videos of you'll see Tucker Carlson or you'll see John Stossel and things like that. And then I also get into just the highlights of shows like America's Got Talent. Kind of an odd hodgepodge of things I watch. That's the only time I watch it, though, is before I go to sleep. And I shouldn't, by the way. My wife came in the other night. That's why you can't sleep. Okay. All right. Rockland Academy School Board facing tough questions from parents concerned over a controversial incident involving transgender discussions inside the kindergarten class. Apparently, the incident happened earlier this summer during the last few days of the academic school year. Apparently, one teacher facilitated a student to change clothes and come to the classroom identifying as the opposite sex. This was very confusing to the children, and kindergartners should not be exposed to this. This is crap. This is propaganda. Kids are not able to understand this. This is a traumatic thing to a little kid. Here's the new news report from CBS 13.
Sam and Adrian, it was quite an emotional board meeting at Rockland Academy tonight, and it was standing room only with parents and teachers speaking out tonight about a teacher who read books to her kindergartner class. And also during that time, that kindergartner was going through a transition in front of her peers. And tonight that teacher spoke out.
And what I will share over and over again is how proud I was of my students.
There she is, getting all emotional. Okay.
Emotional Rockland Academy teacher addressing a packed house of parents, many furious about her decision to discuss the topic of gender identity inside her kindergarten class.
It was never my intent to harm any students, only to support them through a difficult situation.
The teacher defended her actions to read 2 books she says were given to her by a transgender child going through a transition.
The kindergartners came home very confused about whether or not you can pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
And you really cannot identify your gender or identify as another gender at that age. It's just not, the brain at that age is not able to comprehend it. It's ridiculous.
Parents say besides the books, the transgender student at some point during class also changed clothes and was revealed as her true gender. And many parents say they feel betrayed and blindsided.
I want her to hear from me as a parent what her gender identity means to her and to our family. Not from a book that may be controversial. My daughter went home crying, shaking, so afraid that she could turn into a boy.
Unbelievable. And this is how a 5 or 6 year old processes things.
The issue was not on the agenda, so parents spoke out during Monday night's public comment.
It's really about the parents being informed and involved and, giving us the choice and the rights about, what's getting introduced to our kids and at what.
Yeah, you should be given the choice.
What age?
Many teachers also speaking out in support of what transpired inside the classroom on the last days of the academic year.
Head in the direction of banned books or book lists or selected literature that should only be read inside or outside of the classroom. I think that that's a very dangerous direction to go.
Okay. Well, let's just get, remember Madonna, she did a book called Sex. We should put that in the library, too. What the hell? As far as comparing this to removing books probably like Catcher in the Rye or Huckleberry Finn, it's absurd. Absolutely absurd. If you just watch the media, you would swear that 85% of us are transgendered. Another 14% were gay and 1% were straight. Just unbelievable. It's a little bit longer story. I'll play some of the report. I don't know if we'll get to the entire report, but out of Denver, Colorado, Denver police are now investigating incidents where multiple cheerleaders and their coach held down girls doing the splits. And these girls were in clear pain, begging to get up, but they were being held down. This story is going to blow up in Denver. Here's a little bit. I believe this is from the ABC affiliate there.
Video showing East High School cheerleaders being forced into splits. What you are seeing has led to 5 Denver public school employees to be put on leave, including East High School's principal, its cheerleading coach, and one of the school district's attorneys.
By the way, the girl in the video there at the beginning, her name is Allie Wakefield. 9 times in less than 24 seconds, she said, please stop. Please stop. And they held her down anyway.
9 wants to know started asking about this video this week, and investigative reporter Marshall Zellinger found out the school has known for months.
And Kyle, the superintendent just emailed a statement saying he just found out this morning. What you're going to see on the video involves this coach. You may know him and not know it. His name is Ozell Williams. If you've been to Denver Broncos games or CU games the last few years, you've seen him backflip down the field. Now he and 4 others are on administrative leave as police investigate the videos that are really hard to watch. Allie, who shared with us this 24-second video of her, screams, please stop 9 times. We're not comfortable showing you much more of this video with the sound up. It's hard for us to watch and listen to. We were given 8 videos total with similar screams of pain. And Ozell Williams, the East High School cheerleading coach, had to see and hear this in person over and over and over.
I just didn't expect to have to do elevated splits and be forced into it.
Allie.
Now, this is where, your one leg, it's not side to side. It's front and back. And it was clear that this girl, the back leg, moving the back leg like that, it's very surprising she wasn't permanently injured. As far as her hip is concerned.
Wakefield is one of 3 cheerleaders who spoke with us with their moms about what we see in the videos that she shot in practice in June.
He was pushing down on the back of my right leg. He was pushing my back and mid-thigh, and he was pushing it down. He was pushing with his other knee on my back.
Unbelievable.
To try to keep my posture straight. And then he had my foot elevated. It was tearing my ligament and my muscle at the same time. I was crying I couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard.
Shaylin Washut is a sophomore.
Wow.
Her mom never saw a video of her splits because Shay's were not recorded.
If that had been my daughter on one of those videos, I would have been at the police station the next day.
Well, Denver police are now investigating as of this morning, one day after 9 Wants to Know submitted an open records request with Denver Public Schools. We asked for email and videos sent to the school this summer, because it turns out the school has known since at least June 15th.
This is a grown man pushing my 13-year-old girl so hard against her will while she's crying and screaming for him to stop that he's ripping tissues in her body.
Allie's mom, Kirsten, said...
Okay, I can't hear any more of this. The story is going to blow up. The people are going to go to jail for this. This is unreal. This is, the coach would allow that. How can you, I don't know. How do you desensitize yourself so much to something that you and I consider so abhorrent just hearing it the first time? I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. Wow. Teen Vogue has done it again. If your daughter, I'm assuming your daughter, I'm just going to go ahead and say your daughter, right? Not your son who identifies as a daughter. I'm just going to say your daughter gets this magazine, probably want to cancel it. They had a new article published called Back to School Awards 2017, Best Health and Wellness Products. They include a list, best splurge or best value products for several items, including innocuous things such as workout gear, drinks, and blankets. However, the list also focused on items of sexual gratification and intercourse. The magazine suggested personal massagers were the best way to avoid sexually transmitted infections and let off steam, and recommended 2 different products. The magazine also suggested water-based lube and silicone-based lube, and reminded readers about the proper use of certain lubricants with certain condoms. Now, this is on the heels of the last month of Teen Vogue, an article where they produced a guide for teenagers who have anal sex, so they can have anal sex. Now, listen to this. Teen Vogue's digital editorial director, Philip Picardi, responded to the backlash from parents over the last issue, posting a picture of himself kissing another man while giving the camera the finger. Picardi blamed the fury over the article as being rooted in homophobia, as well as an arcane delusion about what it means to be a young person today. Really? Apparently, the magazine's sweet spot for a demographic is 18 to 25. However, you look at Teen Vogue's front page, the article with the lube and the vibrators. It shows articles covering which Disney movies will be appearing on Netflix next month and young celebrity couple news. Okay? Honestly, that's, I don't know, pedophilia. You know? Just writing about it. It's sickening. I don't get it. Don't get it at all. Well, we didn't win the Powerball, and that's okay. We got to keep doing what we're doing, and I will continue doing what I'm doing with the help of great people like Dr. Alex Nelson, fountainoflifecairo.com, fountainoflifecairo.com. Really big believer in chiropractic. This guy does a great job. Also, grassmonsterskc.com, 5520 Raytown Road in Raytown, Missouri. If you get the chance to check out the new Facebook page, if you're in Kansas City, KC Small Business Live. It is, I'm going to be featuring videos, speaking to local business people about their products, making it entertaining, but also giving them the opportunity to get a video made professionally, as professional as I can be, for $300. So you can write me, carsonontheradio@gmail.com, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. Also, you can download this podcast on iTunes. It is available at Rob Carson Show. God bless. See you back here for 156.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.